Hello to all my queers and dears, and welcome back to my Adam Writes an Essay series. Today is going to be a bit unique. Rather than my traditional essay format, we're going to be discussing a bunch of scenes from some of my favorite stories that always remind me of what power humanity can bring to one another through art, and that encourage me to keep my hopeful spark alive. This video is somewhat inspired by the One Scene for Hope collaboration playlist many YouTube essayists took part in a while back, facilitated by Sarah the Fat Culture Critic. But more than that, I wanted to end off a tough year and start what's sure to be an even tougher one, with celebrating the indomitable will of humanity and the ways we can inspire one another through creative expression. Scenes for Hopepunk, if you will. Hopepunk being the term for hope as a form of resistance. See my One Magical Scene video for a more thorough explanation. Don't worry, it's short. In the coming years, we'll have each other, and we'll have what we can provide each other. Everything else is less guaranteed, at best. I'm personally never going to shy away from creating things designed to inspire the best in others, offer support where possible, and cultivate curiosity, healthy discussion, and personal growth. And I heavily encourage other creators to do the same. In this video, I'm also intentionally including praise for scenes from stories that are often what I refer to as an acceptable punching bag, a term I've coined that I'm actually planning a whole essay about. Anyways, the point is, as far as I'm concerned, refusing to give up the joy you find in something widely the target of extreme negativity is plenty Hopepunk. I'm asking you, as my audience, to be open to the idea that it is okay for me to find meaning and enjoyment in something you may not, or that you've heard tremendous negativity towards, and I hope in some ways it might give some of you permission to feel more comfortable liking things others may deride as well. Hold tight to what brings you joy, regardless of the judgment of others, or even the judgment of yourself. And I hope this video might even inspire some of you to check out some of my favorite stories, or revisit them if you've seen them, and come at them from a different angle. Plus, I'm going to be ending this video with some very big announcements, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Without further ado, let's dig in. Adam Myers and Atom Splitters Entertainment present Scenes to Brighten the Soul, a celebration of Hopepunk. Edited by RemnantBardock and Adam Myers. There are so many scenes I could talk about with Spider-Man, from across all of his different iterations, but there's already going to be a lot to talk about in this essay, so let's limit it to some scenes that I think are seriously underrated from a movie that I think is unfairly derided. I did also already talk about a few scenes that are pretty Hopepunk from a few different iterations of Spider-Man over in my video on what it really means to wear the mask. So I recommend checking that out as well if you're interested in some more of my opinions on the subject. This scene is so underrated. Spidey makes such a huge effort to talk Max down. It's his very first impulse. He sees that Max isn't trying to start out intentionally dangerous, that his new powers are merely overwhelming him. His whole life, he's had nobody. The credit for his work is never his. Even small moments of recognition, like remembering his name, shock him because he has been beaten into the ground for so long. And because he's treated like no one so much for so long, a single moment of real recognition is enough to cause a full-on obsession. He's never had a single friend, let alone a best friend. So he doesn't know what that is, how that feels, and what that entails. When Spidey, a hero, tells him that he needs him, that he's important to him, that's what Max thinks having a best friend is. He has no experience to tell him otherwise. Because of this craving for validation, he doesn't really care whether he's famous or infamous, as long as people treat him like he matters. That's why he's hurt when the videos in Times Square switch to Spidey. He feels erased, like his brief moment of being seen was stolen from him. Emotionally, it's the same feeling as the credit for his work being stolen, but worse because he believed so dearly that he would never have to feel that with Spidey. When Max says he doesn't know what's going on, Spidey believes him. He does, of course, misconstrue the truth a little bit, but he's trying to say what Max needs to hear in that moment, that they're friends and that he's thought about him and his needs and his safety more than he has. But even so, Spidey does come at the problem being kind, validating, empathetic. He may not be totally honest in that moment, but he does care. It's not just a means to an end.
Stop! Stop it!
Yo, Sparkles! Hey, how you doing?
It's you? I walked into the street. The car almost hit me. You swooped me up. You saved me. You said you needed me.
You're the guy with the blueprints.
Yes. Blueprints.
Oh, I do. I know it. Don't tell me.
It's Max.
It's a Max?
Yes. I don't know what's going on with me.
I can see that. I believe you.
Strange. I feel I got so much anger.
I can see that. I can see you don't want to be here. I can see you're scared. I can see you don't know what's happening to you. I can see that you don't want to hurt anybody. You guys, this is my buddy Max. I told you about Max. No one shoots at Max. You and me, okay? It's just you and me talking. Whoa, stay right there. Stay right there. Just be careful. The grate, because the electricity
I just wanted everyone to see me.
How about you come with me?
Okay.
Go somewhere we'll talk. Away from all these people, okay?
Yeah, yes.
Now, this doesn't stop him from noticing and preparing for potential risks, but while the cops are prepared to shoot at the first moment of fear, what a shocker, no pun intended, Spidey prepares to get the people out of harm's way if need be. He has no intention of making Max feel pressured or threatened, because that would not de-escalate the crisis, and only resorts to treating said crisis as a confrontation when Max has started to actively lash out intentionally. I know there's plenty of opinions about the execution, but Max is meant to be a tragic character, who has parallels with Harry feeling thrown away and treated as worthless by his father. So I really appreciate that Spidey treats both of them as those tragic characters, and provides them with as much compassion as he can before he has to deal with them as an active threat. The quintessential friendly neighborhood Spider-Man moment in my book. I've rarely seen a better one. The concept of a superhero who is just as interested in helping a kid with a promising future deal with bullies as he is in stopping a supervillain is Hopepunk as all hell. Sure, if the world ends, a kid like Jorge would have much bigger problems. But on the other hand, assuming we are trying to stop the world from ending, what's the point of saving the world if kids like him get their potential crushed by a couple of jerks who somehow don't have anything better to do? Saving the world means a lot less if we aren't trying to make the world itself better. The best versions of Spider-Man understand that.
You make this?
Yeah.
This is a wind turbine. You made this? No way. This is amazing. It's good as new, right? I'll walk you home. What's your name?
Jorge.
Jorge? I'm Spider-Man.
God, I really miss Andrew's Spidey. He is by far my favorite live-action Spider-Man, and his films are my favorite live-action Spidey movies, in large part because Peter's characterization and really the overall character work, I personally, just find absolutely, well, amazing.
I think that's enough punishment.
RWBY is intrinsically Hopepunk. I talk about this and a scene that I really think sets the stage for it in my One Magical Scene video, but this video wouldn't be complete without my favorite show. This is technically 2 scenes. I'm cheating a little here, but hey, it's my video, I can do what I want. Spoilers for RWBY Volume 9, if you haven't seen it, it's really something that deserves to be experienced firsthand. This is your only warning. Here is the time code to skip the spoilers. In Volume 9, Ruby's crisis came to a head. Her hopeful nature crushed beneath the weight of both real and perceived failure, unreasonable expectations for herself, and the subsequent self-loathing. And the closest thing this world has to a true god turns out to be a gentle, kind... Well, she's basically a good therapist. She gently leads Ruby to an opportunity to face the source of her pain, and to see that not only is she not alone in her struggles, but that being anyone else wouldn't magically make those struggles disappear.
It's all so heavy. It's the only thing I can feel anymore. And it never, ever goes away. The feeling of not being enough.
And how would you measure enough?
She doesn't tell Ruby the answer because Ruby wouldn't accept it that way. She merely provides the circumstances for her to find it for herself, and reaffirms that Ruby is not feeling this pain because she's a failure. She's feeling it because she's human.
Who knows why people keep the secrets they do? Maybe you're not the only one who has felt the weight of others' expectations. Like Alex. Like your mother.
She does not have to be perfect to be worthwhile. She is enough. And when she accepts that, she has one of the most beautiful moments I've ever seen in a story, and, well, I'm just gonna play it here.
I love you. Just the way you are.
This one. What happens if I choose me?
Then maybe that girl is enough.
And then the cheating I need to do is to talk about when Ruby and Co. leave the Ever After, knowing that who they are is valued, is loved, and is worthwhile. I find this scene to be an important companion to the previous one, and that's why I wanted to put them together. Ruby and Co. come out the other side of the portal, and they realize that their Hail Mary worked. The entirety of Volume 9, they assume that Cinder's sabotage of their plans caused their work to be a definitive failure, that the evacuation was mostly a failure, and that the message Ruby sent out to the world at large was pointless. The ability of our heroes, but especially Ruby, to imagine that they might have had a meaningful impact was shattered through the experience of their crushing pain. Yet when they come back to Remnant, they find that their actions absolutely had meaning. To make such a stand in the face of such pain and suffering means something. It always does. It's not always going to be the entire world, obviously. But when you do that, someone will see it, and it will matter.
One small kindness in one small moment led to such a marvelous transformation.
We must inspire each other. That's how we keep hope alive. Doctor Who has always been Hopepunk, but like with any Hopepunk story, and especially those that last for a long time, which, boy, Doctor Who sure has, there are certain moments that stand out as particularly Hopepunk. For the sake of time, let's focus in on just one major scene. First things first, I use he, him, or she, her pronouns for any individual incarnations of the Doctor depending on what they use, and they, them pronouns when talking about the Doctor collectively. Now, let's keep the controversial opinion train rolling, shall we? Because like I said, holding to what brings you joy in the face of people trying to tell you that that joy you feel is wrong is Hopepunk as far as I'm concerned. My opinion here is that I think Stephen Moffat, for all his flaws, and there are many, has the deepest understanding of the Doctor of the three showrunners of the modern era. I think at his best, he writes the best stories of the three of them, even if at his worst he gets a bit too excited about being clever, and sometimes writes something that barely holds together and is frankly too sexual for anyone's comfort but his own. And hopefully the actors, because if not, that is not okay. And just to be totally clear before we get into the scene, I agree with many of the criticisms of many of his female characters, though I'd argue that the longer a female character is around, the more depth and the less she tends to get rooted in sexualization during his showrunner era. This is particularly evident with Amy and Clara, who each get a chance to move away from any romantic or sexual entanglements with the Doctor, and are far better off for it. And there are some exceptions like Bill and Kate, who are each fantastic characters that lack any of his usual issues with writing women. But, all his flaws aside, I really do think he just gets the Doctor. The primary through line that connects every season of his time as showrunner is the exploration of what being the Doctor really means, and how the Doctor's larger-than-life myth has caused them to lose touch with who they promised to be when they took that name. The Doctor Falls is the conclusion to that story, in particular the scene where he explains to the Master and Missy why he chooses to spend his time trying to help people, even when it seems completely pointless. The Doctor's speech on kindness from that episode is just too obvious not to include in this essay. 12's speech on war is another that stands out, but I'm going to focus on this one because we've already spent so much time on other scenes from other stuff, and there's still more to go, and people other than I have already talked about both of these scenes and the wider episodes they're in extensively. This speech from the Doctor Falls absolutely deserves all the praise it gets, as does the wider episode and the two-parter it's part of. However, I think there's parts of it that sometimes get buried in the praise for its entirety that I think deserve specific attention. Specifically, the first words of the speech are extremely important, much more so than people might think. They're a vital part of any ideology built on kindness, like the one the Doctor goes on to detail.
Winning? Is that what you think it's about? I'm not trying to win. I'm not doing this because I want to beat someone, because I hate someone, because I want to blame someone.
There's a lot of love for the Doctor's rogues gallery, and rightly so. But the Doctor doesn't do what they do because they want to beat their current enemy. At least not when they're thinking clearly. That's not what being the Doctor is about.
I do what I do because it's right, because it's decent, and above all, it's kind. If I run away today, good people will die. I stand and fight. Some of them might live, maybe not many, maybe not for long. Maybe there's no point in any of this, but it's the best I can do. Who I am, it's where I stand, it's where I fall.
Like the Doctor, those we, in the real world, call Doctor, are promising us with that title that they are either those who heal, or those who spend their time trying to understand things and intend to share what they have learned. This is what being a Doctor means to the average person. It means that they develop an expertise in the service of others, though, sadly, not every Doctor in our world lives up to it, and far too many deliberately choose not to.
Human progress isn't measured by industry. It's measured by the value you place on a life, an unimportant life, a life without privilege. The boy who died on the river, that boy's value is your value. That's what defines an age. That's what defines a species.
But that's what 12 does come to understand in his time being alive. That he and his other lives won't always live up to that title.
always try to be nice, but never fail to be kind.
But damn it, they are sure as hell going to keep trying, because the world, or the universe in their case, needs people like that. And he is going to make sure that the lives he will live that come after him understand it as well. It's the best he can do, so he does it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Maybe he saves everyone, and maybe he saves no one. But if he can help even a little, why shouldn't he try? Why shouldn't he care? And why shouldn't he show it? Why is that seen as weak?
I'm not sure that any of that matters. Friends, enemies. So long as there's mercy. Always mercy.
He's the Doctor. But to be the Doctor, he has to live up to the promises of being a Doctor.
And you?
And what am I?
Have you really forgotten?
Yes. Maybe, yes.
We've got enough warriors. An old idiot can be a hero.
Then what do I do?
What you've always done. Be a doctor.
In contrast, the Master stands for nothing. Their lives are empty, continually obsessing over an endless search for power, domination, and to continue surviving at all costs. And it will never be enough for them. There is no end to that journey, and no meaning to be found within it. It's an empty reason to live. Without witness, without reward. What do you stand for? And will you stand for it when no one's watching? When you have no chance of being celebrated for your efforts? Do you have it in you to trust that trying to do the right thing matters in and of itself, even if it seems like it may not have some larger impact, even if it's just helping one person, or even if you might fail? Because that is the Doctor's promise. To try, to always try to do the right thing, to help where they can, to learn and grow and share that knowledge and that wonder and that joy with others. It's the promise that creates justice if we strive to live up to it. And it is so Hopepunk. And, just to cap this section off, here's some of the best Hopepunk quotes from my personal favorite Doctor.
But you're scaring her.
Good. She should be scared. She's sacrificing herself. She should know what that means.
Do you mind if I tell you a story? All the elements in your body were forged millions of years ago in the heart of a faraway star that exploded and died. It scattered those elements across the desolations of deep space after so many millions of years. These elements came together to form new stars and new planets, and on it went. The elements came together and burst apart, forming shoes and ships and sealing wax and cabbages and kings. Eventually, they came together to make you. You are unique in the universe, and there will never be another.
Getting rid of that existence isn't a sacrifice. It is a waste.
It's not going to be you forever. It's going to end the same way whatever you do.
Every life I save is a victory. Every single one. Who's she?
Nobody important.
Nobody important. Blimey, that's amazing. Do you know, in 900 years of time and space, I've never met anyone who wasn't important before. We all change. When you think about it, we're all different people, all through our lives. And that's okay, that's good, you've got to keep moving, so long as you remember all the people that you used to be. The way I see it, every life is a pile of good things and bad things. Hey, the good things don't always soften the bad things, but vice versa, the bad things don't necessarily spoil the good things or make them unimportant.
I know that the Arrowverse gets plenty of derision, but I was always a fan, so it's gotta get some love in this video. It was with me through the best and worst moments of my entire life, and I miss it dearly. I really do. I'm gonna stick to moments from Batwoman for length reasons, but also because I have some ideas for a full essay dedicated to my other favorite Arrowverse show, Legends of Tomorrow. Season 2 of CW's Batwoman is, frankly, in my opinion, one of the best pop culture explorations of fighting for social justice that I've ever seen. Ryan Wilder takes on the titular mantle in Season 2, and Ryan is leagues away from the usual individuals that wear the bat symbol. She is a black queer woman who is an ex-con and is an unhoused person who lives in her van. There's a good chance Batwoman Season 2, Episode 14 is one of my favorite episodes in the entire Arrowverse. It's called And Justice for All, and it's freaking fantastic. Great superhero threat, combined with incredible character work, and a bold, honest look at injustice perpetuated by law enforcement. But the scene I want to talk about was actually a few episodes before that, in the episode Rule Number 1. The primary Bat Team members are Ryan, Luke, and Mary, with Sophie Moore joining later in an absolutely fantastic exploration of a woman of color in law enforcement being forced to reckon with the system she's chosen to be part of, and the fact that it will not change to accommodate her, or to do the good that she joined it to accomplish. At the end of Rule Number 1, the former three talk honestly about what it means to be on this team with each other. And Rule Number 1 is one of the most important things I have ever heard a superhero say.
Most importantly, we stand for something bigger than ourselves.
It's a little easier said than done. What are you thinking?
Batwoman takes some of the awful off the streets, but the Bat Team needs to replace it with something positive. That's how change happens. Getting adopted by Mama Cora, that was my game changer. But Angelique didn't have that.
To hear this said out loud, unequivocally, by a superhero in this day and age, when superheroes have struggled to balance spectacle with real heroism, and especially a superhero from a multi-marginalized, underprivileged background like Ryan's, while making her own a symbol that has historically belonged to white billionaires? Well, certainly I find it extremely powerful. It's definitely a scene that inspires hope in me, and I feel it is very much an invitation to pursue hope. There's so many scenes I could talk about. Steven Universe is an incredibly Hopepunk show. But I think I'll focus in on two scenes that I feel hit right at the core of two major pillars of Hopepunk. I don't see this scene talked about as much as the other one, so I wanted to highlight it first. Greg the Babysitter is not the most earth-shattering episode of this series, not by a long shot. And yet, it is in this relatively low-key episode that SU's entire philosophical and thematic premise is put into words. Rebecca Sugar and the Crooniverse managed to do something most sci-fi doesn't even bother with. Why humans? So many alien species in so many stories develop a fascination and even love for humans that often feels like projecting our own desire for being special, rather than a belief that fully makes sense within the story.
Once again, a UFO has landed in America, the only country UFOs ever seem to land in. Excuse me, what's that, Hinshaw?
There's rarely anything truly unique about humanity in comparison to other alien species in the story that really justifies this special treatment. In contrast, SU makes a point of separating the culture of Earth and Homeworld. Gems are not born, but grown, intentionally created for an assigned purpose. Their own wants and desires and hopes and dreams have no value in Gem society. Who they are doesn't matter, only whether they play their role correctly. While there's certainly many humans who buy into similar mindsets, as a general species we tend to understand that humans grow and change throughout their lives. I'll let Rose explain.
When a gem is made, it's for a reason. They burst out of the ground already knowing what they're supposed to be, and then that's what they are. Forever. But you're supposed to change. You're never the same, even moment to moment. You're allowed and expected to invent who you are. an incredible power. The ability to grow up.
Wow. This is something that I feel humans should appreciate more about ourselves. We have the power to learn, to grow, to change, to pursue our dreams, to choose the people we call our friends, to take a hard look at ourselves and choose what kind of person we want to be. The second scene I want to talk about is in a much more well-remembered episode, but it still deserves attention. While SU has had more than its fair share of so-called criticism, some fair but a lot unfair, especially around its finale, it was one of those acceptable punching bags for a good while, though recently it's been getting some renewed love. It is an absolutely beautiful story. In the final episode of the original series, that is, not the movie or epilogue series, though those are vital to the full story, Steven faces White Diamond, who is immensely rigid in her beliefs. She refuses to let others speak. Hell, she literally stays in a giant version of her own head, showing how she's shut herself off from anyone who could potentially poke holes in those beliefs, whether she knows that that's what she's done or not. Steven manages to break her belief system, resulting in her looking for a new way to make sense of the world. He does this through affirming his own identity in the face of White Diamond denying it. In fact, Steven is misgendered during most of his interactions with Homeworld, and his mother's name is often used instead of his own because the Homeworld gems literally struggle to wrap their minds around the reality of who Steven is. Steven's triumphant moment is literally him hugging himself, embracing the unique reality of himself as vital to what makes him Steven Universe, without any room for doubt or denial. It's an immensely queer moment to assert and affirm one's own identity in the face of those who categorize it as abnormal, unnatural, and so on.
Steven! Are you back together? Are you?
Yeah, I'm me. I've always been me.
No! You are Pink Diamond! That is Pink Diamond's gem! You do not look like this. You do not sound like this. You are not half human. You're just acting like a child!
It is him forcing White Diamond to recognize the reality that she does not in fact know who he is, that not everything works the way she wants it to, or believes it does, that crumbles the beliefs and the pillars that held the fascistic society of Homeworld in place. This is a form of Hopepunk that I think is highly unrecognized. Being happy, loving oneself, living authentically, resting, having a meaningful community, these are all forms of resistance in a world designed to beat us down, control us, and make us feel small and powerless. Endless ways humanity exists never fail to leave me in awe. The way every single person in history, past, present, and future, is unique, completely unique. We exist in endless diversity. No one even laughs the same. I mean, how cool is that? That everyone is special. Not because we're all gonna change the world, but because we all bring something to it that nobody else can. Being oneself is just so powerful. How cool is that? Being ourselves, simply living authentically, inspires and fosters joy in others and challenges oppression. Just living is powerful. And I love that. First, a quick thank you to all the doctors, nurses, mental health professionals, medical staff, teachers, and educators in my audience that every day in their jobs try to live up to the same promise the doctor has made. In the years to come, we'll be counting on you and your skill sets more than ever, especially as the institutions you are part of became even more influenced by political and capitalistic aims. We need you to stay strong, serve the people as much as you can, and provide the things only people like you can provide. Education and health are going to be, and are already being, targeted. We're counting on you to have our backs. But also, thank you to everyone in my audience who have embraced the philosophies I approach my work with, whether or not you knew of a term like Hopepunk previously. You enjoying my work means I get to help spread hope, promote thoughtful interaction with others, learn and share interesting and challenging things, encourage respectful discussion, share new perspectives, foster a healthy environment for discussion and healthy debate, and more. And on that note, I have a few announcements to make. I will be sharing a clip of each of these separately, but I want to connect these announcements to this essay specifically. Oh, I am so excited to say this. Nightstones has really ramped up production, and we should have a little teaser for you real soon, including some artwork and some lines from the VAs. Nightstones is all about exploring how to disrupt the cycle of dominance that oppressive systems rely upon, the complex relationships we have with history, the importance of a coalition of marginalized experiences, and what it really means to have a revolution that moves us into a kinder, more just world. I've been working really hard with Zell Writer and Honey Payla to write this story, and I am so proud of how it's going. I think this is going to be something really special, and I can't wait to share it with you. One Hopepunk Scene is a collaborative playlist I'm coordinating in the vein of Nando V Movie's One Marvelous Scene and subsequent evolutions thereupon. I'm inviting video essayists of all kinds, so if you can and want to join this playlist, know that the doors are wide open. Choose any scene from film, TV, gaming that speaks to you as embodying or inspiring hope as a rebellious force. Heck, you could even choose something from a book or comics if you can integrate that into a video essay properly. If you join my Discord, you can find resources on Hopepunk and others who are part of the playlist collaboration if you want to bounce ideas off of them. Just join and ask for the One Hopepunk Scene role. Alternatively, you can email me your video via my email in the description. The playlist itself will be open indefinitely, so you could send me a video in a year or two and I'd still add it. Hopepunk encompasses a lot, so if you decide to join, I hope you don't feel restricted. There's some links in the description that along with this video should give you a good sense of some things that might be considered Hopepunk. But this is all about what you find to be Hopepunk. I hope old, new, experienced, and upcoming essayists alike join us. And even if you're not an essayist, make sure to share your favorite Hopepunk stories and moments in the comments. Massive thanks to my friend and editor Bardock. These videos would not be possible, nor would they come out nearly as good without your hard work. Thanks to everybody in my incredible Discord community Adam plays a host as well. Links in the description to my socials and Bardock's, as well as other relevant links like my Patreon and the GoFundMe for Nightstones, as well as the One Hopepunk Scene playlist, which you'll definitely want to save and check back on in the coming weeks and months. Also, if you want to immerse yourself in Hopepunk, make sure to join the Sunrise Station Discord server, a community exclusively dedicated to Hopepunk. If you enjoyed or found this video useful, you can check out my other essays via the links at the end of this video, or the playlist in the description, or, if you have the financial capacity, you can join my Patreon at $1 a month or $3 a month. I just moved into a new apartment, so I could really use your support. For $1 a month, you'll get your name at the end of my videos, and at $3 a month, you'll get shoutouts. Also at the $3 tier, you'll get access to older works of mine no longer listed on my channel, sneak peeks of upcoming essays and projects like Nightstones, or notes I'm making for upcoming scripts, as well as securing the patron role in my Discord server. I've got essays in the works on Abigail Thorne's The Prince, redemption arcs, so-called perfect stories acting as the bar for other stories to reach, and more. So if you want to see any of those, or any reactions, commentaries, and interviews I'm working on, make sure to subscribe to catch them when they come out. Other than that, leave a like if you liked the video, dislike it if you didn't, give your thoughts in the comments, give me feedback, or hell, just comment some gibberish for the algorithm. And I'll see you all soon.